But the real corruption in Congress is in the structure. And Eli alluded to it very eloquently earlier about, the funding, how you have to raise money. You raise money for your conference. You're issued a bill when you get there. Everybody is, the Democrats and the Republicans, and everybody talks about it. And, they'll tell you, we're going to see how you do in your committee selections if you want to move up, how you do, on your bills and how you're doing and how you do across the street. And what that means is you're not technically supposed to make fundraising calls from the office. You have to go across the street, the Capitol Hill Club or someplace else. And how much money you raise for the conference. Literally, we've had committee chairmen that have written a personal check and been made chairman of committees. Personal check. So, I've said this many times that if the NFL was Congress, Peyton Manning would still be waiting to get in.
Wow.
Because it's not about putting the best player in. Because if it was, you wouldn't. I always remember this. Steve Cohen across the aisle, don't agree on anything, but he's my friend. He called my mama when my dad died when we were in the state legislature. I remember one time we were looking at each other, and this old chairman came up the aisle, and he's no longer there. So he came up the aisle, and they called for the vote, and he turned to the little girl that was beside him and said, "How am I voting on this?" And she says, "You're for this, Mr. Chairman." He goes, "Oh, okay." Puts his card in, hits the green button. And I remember looked at Cohen and we just shook our head. Because that structure is in place. You got to understand, when you're a chairman, you'll have how many, 25 or 30 people maybe that work under you. And then all those people's jobs require, and they're out whining and dining. They're not supposed to be, but surely they are. Whining and dining, and they go on the junkets and they go on the trips just like you are as the chairman. And, it's just constant. And they raise the money. And they have to get in that spot, they have to raise the money. And so they keep them in that spot because you're a chairman and you're the one who ultimately decides if your bill is going to have a rough go in your committee or not. And so, it's just a completely corrupted system because of that. Because I'm not a billionaire. Eli's not a billionaire, and we don't represent a lot of billionaires or millionaires for that matter. And it's just tough on people like us because I can't raise